Good morning. There is something sacred about the hush before the world wakes. The sky still yawns. The sun stretches gently across the land like a mother pulling the blanket off a sleeping child. And in that stillness, there is a space where you can meet yourself, a space where you can meet something higher, a space that calls you not with thunder, but with quiet truth. That is where morning devotion lives, and it will change your life if you let it. You see, when the world is loud and the heart is weary, we often forget that the most powerful transformations come in whispers. Not in the chaos, not in the clutter, but in the calm. That first breath of the morning is no small thing. It is the beginning. It is the invitation. It is the soft nudge from something deep inside you saying, "Child, come sit for a while. Come listen. Come be reminded of who you are." Morning devotion is not about perfection. It is not about getting every word right or sitting cross-legged like a statue. It is about presence. It is about honesty. It is about showing up to your own soul before you show up to the world. Whether you whisper a prayer, hum a tune, read a verse, or just sit in silence, you are tending to the garden within. You are watering the roots. You are strengthening the spirit before the winds of the day begin to blow. And oh, they will blow. The day will try to shake you. People will try to name you something you are not. Circumstances will come knocking, dressed in fear, dressed in doubt, dressed in hurry. But if your morning was spent with truth, then you will not crumble, you will not fold, because you will remember the stillness. You will remember the strength you met in the quiet. You will remember that your worth was never tied to your performance and your peace was never dependent on your situation. Morning devotion is not a ritual. It is a rescue. It is where the weary find rest and the confused find clarity. It is where the broken find healing and the restless find direction. It does not ask for much, just that you come as you are. Bring your fear, bring your hope, bring your anger, bring your joy. Lay it down, speak it, write it, sing it, or sit in it. Just show up. Again and again and again. There's a reason why the morning feels holy. Before the world starts demanding, before the phones start ringing, before the expectations rise like steam off boiling water, there is a quiet that wraps around you like a soft blanket. In that quiet, there is power. In that stillness, there is a chance to return to yourself before the world tries to define you. Morning devotion is not just a practice of habit. It is a sacred ritual that grounds your soul before the world even gets a say. When you wake up and immediately reach for the noise, news, social media, emails, you invite chaos into your spirit before it has a chance to find its rhythm. But when you begin your day with devotion, with a few moments of prayer or reflection or silence, you tell the world, "I belong to something greater than this noise." You plant your feet in the soil of truth. You remind your soul that no matter what storms rise in the hours ahead, you are anchored. A grounded soul doesn't react from panic, it responds with peace. A grounded soul doesn't chase validation, it walks with purpose. And that kind of grounding doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you give your mornings to what matters, not to urgency, not to fear, but to stillness, to reverence, to clarity. There is something deeply healing about starting your day in conversation with the divine, whatever name you give it, whispering your worries out loud, speaking your hopes with no shame, listening not for an answer, but for the calm that comes when you finally stop running and just be. That space is where your soul takes a deep breath. That space is where you stop pretending and just get honest. Party devotion is where you say, "I may not have it all figured out, but I'm starting with peace." It's where you remember that you're not just a body going through motions, but a spirit with a purpose. You're not just living to check boxes. You're here to grow, to learn, to love, and to be whole. And when you begin your day grounded in that truth, the world cannot take it away from you, no matter how fast it moves or how loud it gets. You see, devotion in the morning is like putting on invisible armor, not to keep people out, but to keep your spirit strong. So when someone speaks out of turn or something unexpected throws off your plans, you don't break. You breathe. You return to the space you carved in the morning and remember, this moment does not define me. Morning devotion gives you that gift, that power, that quiet knowing that stays with you all day long. It may be 5 minutes or 20. It may be a whispered prayer over coffee or a quiet walk under a waking sky. It doesn't need to be grand. It only needs to be honest. It needs to be real. Your soul knows the difference. And once you begin to honor that space each day, you'll start to notice how different everything feels. Not because the world changed, but because you did. So rise with intention, rise with awareness. Before you give yourself to the day, give yourself to the moment. And let your soul be still before it must be strong. Because when your morning devotion grounds you, the world cannot shake you. The first voice you hear each morning holds more weight than you realize. Before the world wakes up and starts pushing its noise into your ears, before the messages and headlines flood your attention, there is a sacred opportunity to choose whose voice you let shape your spirit. And that voice should be your own in prayer, in reflection, in gentle conversation with the one who made you, because the voice that leads you at sunrise will often echo all the way into sunset. Too many of us open our eyes and immediately open our screens. We scroll, we consume, we compare. Before we've even had time to breathe, we're already digesting someone else's fear, someone else's opinion, someone else's idea of success. And little by little, our peace starts to unravel. We start our day leaning into chaos and then wonder why we can't seem to find calm. That's because we let the wrong voice speak first. But when you choose morning devotion, when you choose to start your day in communion with something deeper, something wiser, something sacred, you allow your own voice to rise before the noise. You let your spirit speak before the world tries to silence it. You affirm your worth before anyone else gets a chance to question it. You set your intention before the distractions arrive. There is power in hearing yourself pray, power in hearing your own breath steady, power in letting your thoughts move gently into clarity instead of chaos. It does not have to be poetic or perfect. You do not need to sound like a preacher or philosopher. You only need to sound like you, your heart speaking from where it is, raw, real, present. When you give yourself that space in the morning to hear your own voice in stillness, it becomes easier to recognize that voice throughout the day. When anxiety creeps in, you remember the calm you spoke into yourself. When discouragement tries to find a place in your mind, you remember the truth you reminded yourself of at dawn. And when you're pulled in 10 different directions, you can return to the direction you gave yourself in the beginning, because your voice is still echoing. This world is not quiet. It shouts, it rushes, it demands. But your morning does not have to belong to the world. It can belong to you. It can be your time to ask yourself the questions that matter. What do I want this day to mean? Who do I want to be when difficulty comes? How do I stay grounded when everything feels uncertain? These questions deserve your voice, not someone else's noise. When your own voice is shaped in the presence of peace, it becomes a compass. It keeps you from being swayed by every criticism, every temptation, every storm. You are no longer desperate to be filled by the world because you have already been filled by something deeper, something unshakable, something that belongs to you alone. That is what morning devotion gives you. Not just a ritual, not just a quiet moment, but a reclamation, a reclaiming of your voice, your authority, your peace. You learn to trust your own spirit, to follow your own wisdom, and to begin every day not from reaction, but from reverence. So tomorrow, before the world speaks to you, speak to yourself. Before anything outside you tells you who to be, remind yourself of who you are, and let your voice be the first to lead you into the day. Stillness in the morning is not weakness. It is not laziness. It is not wasted time. It is preparation. It is power wrapped in silence. Before the storm of the day begins, before the schedules and expectations try to pull you in every direction, there is a quiet place where strength is born. That stillness is not empty. It is full. Full of grace, full of clarity, full of the kind of courage that doesn't need to shout. It's where you gather yourself before the world tries to scatter you. In the early hours, when the world has not yet risen and the air is soft and slow, something sacred happens when you sit in stillness. Your breath deepens. Your thoughts begin to settle. The noise you didn't even know you were carrying starts to fall away. It's in that sacred space where you remember what matters. You remember what you're made of. You remember what you're called to do. The storms of life do not send warnings. They come suddenly. A phone call, a disappointment, an unexpected change. And if your spirit is unprepared, if your soul is already spinning from the moment you rise, those storms will knock you off center. But when you've anchored yourself in the morning, when you've given yourself the gift of stillness and devotion, you walk into the day with a strength the storm cannot touch. You carry a calm that confusion cannot rattle. You stand on ground that fear cannot shake. Stillness does not mean doing nothing. It means doing what matters most, listening to what your soul has been whispering under the surface, listening to the quiet guidance you've been too distracted to hear, listening to the voice that reminds you, you were not made to rush, you were made to rise. You were made to rise in peace, in purpose, in truth, and stillness gives you that starting place. It is in stillness where you speak your prayers, not because you have the perfect words, but because you know the power of showing up. It is where you read or reflect or just sit with the simple truth that you are alive, and that alone is a miracle. It is where you gather your gratitude and let it shape your perspective before the world tries to bend it. This kind of stillness is not always easy. Sometimes your mind will race, sometimes your heart will ache, sometimes silence will feel uncomfortable. But if you sit with it long enough, you begin to see what's underneath. You begin to meet your real self, not the self the world tries to shape, but the self that was always there. The strong self, the patient self, the self that knows how to move with grace, even when the wind blows hard. When you begin your day in stillness, you're not avoiding the world, you're preparing for it. You're filling your well before anyone else comes to draw from it. You're tending to your roots so you can grow without breaking. You're telling yourself, I will not be moved by noise, I will be led by peace. And when that storm comes, and it will, you'll feel it, yes. You'll be aware of it, but it will not define you. Because your strength wasn't born in the storm. It was born in the quiet before it. So take that moment each morning. Don't rush past it. Don't trade it for noise. Let that stillness become your strength, and let that strength carry you through whatever the day may bring. Devotion in the morning isn't about memorizing verses or checking off a box on a spiritual to-do list. It isn't about performance or perfection. It's not about putting on a mask of holiness or trying to impress anyone, not even yourself. Morning devotion is about alignment, realignment. It's about pulling your heart, your thoughts, and your energy back into truth before the world pulls you into everything else. It's about tuning into the frequency of your own soul and reminding yourself why you are here. Every day the world tries to name you. It tells you who you should be, what you should want, how you should look, and how quickly you should get there. It dangles distractions in front of your face before you've even had your first sip of water. It pressures you to do more, be more, and feel less. But morning devotion is your chance to say no to all that noise and yes to your center. To come home to yourself, to come home to your Creator. And in that quiet, something begins to shift. You realize that you don't need to chase approval when you start your day grounded in purpose. You don't need to compete or compare when you've already found peace in your presence. You don't need to perform when you've already been reminded that you are enough. Morning devotion gives you that lens. It helps you see yourself through the eyes of grace and not through the filter of the world. Realignment means you're not just reacting to life, you're responding from a place of clarity. You're not being tossed around by every opinion or problem because you've already anchored yourself in stillness. You've already taken the time to listen to something higher than fear, deeper than doubt, and stronger than stress. That kind of foundation doesn't crack easily, it stands firm. And from that firmness, you move differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with intention. Some mornings you may come to devotion feeling scattered or heavy or lost. That's okay. Morning devotion isn't reserved for those who feel holy. It's a home for the tired, the confused, the hopeful, and the hungry. It's a place to realign your thoughts with truth, your emotions with peace, and your energy with love. Even 5 minutes spent in that space can shift your direction. Even one sincere moment of stillness can realign your whole day. You begin to notice what's pulling you off track and you start letting go. You begin to recognize what fills you and you start leaning in. You begin to listen to the quiet wisdom within you instead of being controlled by the chaos outside of you. And suddenly, your life doesn't feel like it's happening to you. It feels like something you are actively shaping moment by moment. Morning devotion becomes your reset, your alignment with purpose, with peace, with truth. Not because everything is perfect, but because you have chosen to show up anyway. You've chosen to begin from within. You've chosen to seek alignment before ambition, peace before productivity, and clarity before chaos. So let your mornings be sacred. Let them be the space where your spirit rises before your feet do. Because when you start your day in alignment, you don't just survive the day. You move through it with intention, with grace, and with strength that the world cannot take from you. What you feed your spirit in the morning has the power to shape the way you move through everything that follows. Before the rush, before the pressure, before the distractions find their way into your mind, your soul is open, soft, ready to receive. And what you choose to place in that space, whether it's peace or panic, clarity or confusion, fear or faith, echoes through every thought, every decision, every reaction that comes after. You can feel the difference on the mornings when you start with intention, with devotion, with a few deep breaths and a few honest words. There's a steadiness that stays with you. Your spirit stands taller. You're not as easily rattled. You're not chasing your worth or searching for approval. You're already full. But when you start the day by pouring your attention into everything but your soul, when you scroll, compare, rush, and forget to pause, you end up running on empty, even if your calendar is full. The spirit is like soil. Whatever you plant in it early will grow throughout the day. If you plant fear, by feeding it with anxiety, worry, and distraction, then fear will bloom and take root. But if you plant truth, if you water it with silence, with scripture, with reflection, with even a whispered prayer, then you carry that truth with you. You're not reacting to the world. You're responding from a place of peace that you built before the world even had a chance to speak. Morning devotion isn't about being overly spiritual or making a show of stillness. It's about feeding what matters most. It's about recognizing that your body isn't the only thing that needs nourishment. Your spirit hungers too, and the beautiful thing is that it doesn't take much. You don't need to sit for hours or say the perfect thing. You just need to be present. You just need to be real. And that offering, however small, is enough to feed something eternal in you. When you begin the day in communion with yourself and the divine, you start seeing things differently. A delay isn't a disaster, it's a redirection. A difficult person isn't your enemy, they're a teacher. A challenge isn't a punishment, it's an invitation to grow. That shift in perspective doesn't come from hustle. It comes from having filled your spirit with something deeper, something richer than the noise around you. And yes, life will still be life. Things will still go wrong. People will still disappoint you. Plans will still fall apart. But what you fed your spirit with in the morning will determine how you handle those moments. Will you crumble under pressure or will you breathe through it? Will you lash out in frustration or will you respond with grace? Will you lose your sense of self, or will you stand firm in the truth you already spoke over your day? That's why devotion in the morning matters, not just for peace in the moment, but for strength in the hours that follow. You're not just starting your day, you're sowing into your life. You're feeding the part of you that holds everything together when everything else starts to fall apart. And over time, that daily devotion becomes your rhythm, your grounding, your secret place of strength. So choose wisely what you feed your spirit. Let it be truth, let it be love, let it be peace, and carry that nourishment with you wherever the day may lead. When you commit to morning devotion day after day, it becomes something more than a habit. It becomes a rhythm that slowly transforms the way you move, the way you think, the way you carry yourself. At first, it may feel small, just a few minutes, just a whisper, just a breath. But over time, that simple act of showing up begins to reshape your days. It begins to transform ordinary mornings into sacred beginnings. You realize that devotion isn't a duty, it's a doorway. A doorway into a life that feels deeper, stronger, more aligned with who you are becoming. It's easy to underestimate the power of small consistency. One morning may not feel like it changes much, but 5 mornings, 10, a month of mornings where you return to your quiet place before the world stirs, that begins to shift the ground beneath you. You begin to expect peace. You begin to protect your stillness. You begin to need that space, not as a chore, but as a source, because that is what it becomes. Your source. Not the headlines, not the opinions, not the chaos of the outside world, but your devotion, your quiet conversation with the divine. That becomes your anchor. Consistent morning devotion weaves truth into your bones before the day has a chance to bend you. It reminds you of what really matters before distractions try to convince you otherwise. It keeps your heart soft while the world tries to make it hard. And perhaps most importantly, it shows you how deeply you are loved, how seen you are, how held you are, no matter how busy, how broken, or how uncertain life feels. The beauty of devotion is that it isn't flashy. It's not about loud declarations. It's not about performance. It's about presence. It's about intimacy. It's about starting your day in honesty, in reflection, in sacred pause. You might read something meaningful. You might whisper a prayer. You might sit in silence and just let yourself be. The form doesn't matter, the intention does. And the more consistent you are with it, the more natural it becomes to return to that space, not just in the morning, but throughout your day. Something powerful happens when you train your spirit to return to peace every morning. You stop looking for peace in the wrong places. You stop letting the world define your mood, your direction, your worth. You begin to own your inner world in a way that nothing outside of you can shake. That strength, that quiet, steady strength comes from consistent devotion. Even when you don't feel like it, even when your mind is scattered or your heart is tired, showing up still matters. Those are often the most powerful moments because devotion isn't about how you feel, it's about where you turn. And the more you turn to that sacred space in the morning, the more your life begins to reflect it. You become calmer in conflict, softer in struggle, wiser in uncertainty. That is not accidental. That is the fruit of devotion. Morning by morning, you are being shaped, not by the chaos you face, but by the peace you choose. Not by the opinions you hear, but by the truth you speak to yourself in the quiet. Morning devotion, when done consistently, becomes the gentle force that changes everything. Not with noise, but with presence. Not with urgency, but with grace. So rise each day with devotion and watch as your life quietly, powerfully transforms. So as the sun rises and a new day unfolds, remember this. Your morning is more than a beginning. It is a foundation, a quiet sanctuary where your soul can be restored, your purpose can be realigned, and your strength can be rebuilt. Morning devotion is not a ritual of perfection, but a rhythm of presence. It is where your peace is planted, your truth is nurtured, and your spirit is gently prepared for all that lies ahead. Let your mornings belong to stillness before they belong to anyone else. Let your first breath be one of intention. Let your first words come from the heart. And let that sacred devotion carry you through whatever the day may bring. May you rise each morning with clarity, courage, and calm. May your devotion continue to ground you in truth and lift you in grace. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for allowing these words to walk beside you. Good evening, everyone. There are days when the sky looks blue but feels gray. Days when the sun rises but your spirit doesn't. When voices around you echo more doubt than hope. When your heart, heavy as a stone, asks you why it should go on. But baby, listen. That cloud you feel, that sharp sting in your chest, that's not the end of you. That's the test. And the question ain't what hit you. The question is what you're going to do about it. See, life has a way of whispering and shouting, of dancing and slamming doors. It don't always come wrapped in silver paper and silk bows. Sometimes it shows up dirty, loud, and mean, dragging its feet through your joy like it owns the place. But hear me now, that mess, that bitter word someone tossed at you, that silence from the ones you trusted, that twist in your belly when they doubted you. None of that was meant to break you. It came to see what you're made of. It came to ask you, are you going to pass? Or are you just going to react? People will talk, let them. The world will throw shade, let it. But child, don't you dare bend into bitterness. Don't let their storm put out your flame. Don't give them the pleasure of watching your soul grow cold. You are not what they say in anger. You are not what they assume in fear. You are not the sum of what went wrong. You are a whole garden of grace and thunder. You are sunlight stitched into skin. You are deeper than the wound and stronger than the storm. Some will test you, not because they doubt you, but because they fear what you carry. They poke, they prod, they provoke, hoping you lose your peace, hoping you slip into the dark with them. But baby, this world's got enough darkness. What it needs is somebody who can walk through it without becoming it. Somebody who can bleed and still be kind. Somebody who can bleed and still be a blessing. That somebody can be you. So when the lies come loud, when envy knocks at your door, dressed up as advice, when disappointment clings to your spirit like smoke, pause, breathe, stand tall. Let the fire burn, but let it refine you, not consume you. Let the noise pass like wind through trees. Let your silence speak power. Let your smile confuse every demon waiting for your downfall. And when they ask you later how you made it through without losing your light, tell them you learned the truth. That negativity ain't your enemy. It's just a question, a riddle, a mirror. And the only answer that matters is how you carry yourself through it. Negativity is not your identity. It's only an invitation to reveal your strength. So many people carry the weight of harsh words spoken in moments of anger, of cruel glances passed without thought, of silence from those they needed the most. They take that weight and wear it like a name tag, like it says something about who they are. But let me tell you something true and timeless. What people throw at you is not who you are. The poison they spill is not your truth. The hate they hurl is not your label. It's a test, not a definition. And you get to choose whether you carry it or release it. Negativity is a knock at your door, not a home you're meant to live in. When someone pushes your spirit, when life presses you from all sides, it's not a sign of weakness. It's the world asking what lives in you. Will you react? Will you lash out? Will you let their bitterness turn into your bitterness? Or will you pause, hold your ground, and let your strength speak louder than your word? There is a dignity that lives in quiet restraint, a strength that doesn't need to shout, When you walk through hate and still speak with kindness, when you're surrounded by judgment and still move with compassion, that is your power passing the test. You are not weak for feeling hurt, for being wounded by the weight of someone's cruelty, but you are mighty when you choose not to become it. That choice, that quiet decision not to echo what broke you, is strength in its purest form. Too often we forget that the most powerful battles are not the ones others see, but the ones we fight within. When you're holding back words that would wound, when you're refusing to stoop to the level of the one who provoked you, when you're choosing to respond instead of react, that's the battlefield where your character is forged. And in that moment, you become more than what they thought. You become a reflection of wisdom, of grace, of something deeper than their noise. See, the world will try you. It'll come for you when you least expect it. It'll test you with betrayal, with gossip, with doubt, with delay. But every trial is a doorway. Every insult is a mirror asking, who are you really? Are you what they say you are, or are you what you decide to be? Because negativity wants you to forget. It wants to blind you, distract you, pull you into its pit. But strength, real strength, keeps you rooted in who you are, not who they say you are. You are not your mistakes, not your past, not their opinion. You are the one who chooses what to carry forward, and that choice makes you free. Every time you choose not to take their darkness into your heart, every time you let the wound pass through you without becoming you, you grow taller in your own soul. You stand more firm in your own truth. You prove that your spirit is not for sale and your peace is not up for negotiation. The next time negativity comes knocking, pause. Let it stand outside while you tend to your joy. Let it scream while you hold your silence. Let it spit fire while you breathe calm. Not because you're ignoring it, but because you've seen through it. You've seen that it's not about you, it's about what you'll do. And you'll do what's right, not what's loud. You'll respond with strength, not surrender to reaction. Because this life is not about proving your worth to those who can't see it. It's about protecting the light in you so you can keep being a light for others. And when you protect that light, when you walk through the storm without letting it inside you, you don't just pass the test, you become the answer. And that right there is where your power lives. Every reaction is a reflection. Choose grace over impulse. The way we respond in moments of tension doesn't just say something about the situation, it speaks volumes about us. Life will present you with sharp words, cold shoulders, and unkind eyes. You will face betrayal that bites, criticism that cuts deep, and silence that feels like screaming. And in those moments, the test will not be about what was said or done. It will be about how you hold yourself when the fire starts to rise inside. Impulse wants the stage. It begs you to shout back, to slam the door, to write your anger in bold, loud lines across someone else's day. But grace whispers. It reminds you that not every battle is yours. Not every insult deserves an answer. Grace teaches you that reacting in anger only pulls you deeper into the very pain you wish to rise above. It's not weakness to hold your peace, it's mastery. There's a difference between power and control. Power is what you carry in your presence, in your voice, in your truth. Control is knowing when to use it and when to simply walk away. Reaction is often just emotion dressed up in haste, but reflection is wisdom taking its time. The person who provokes you may want your fire, but you must protect your flame. They may crave the chaos of your reaction because it validates their own. But when you rise with grace instead of sink with impulse, you deny them access to your soul. Sometimes silence is the most powerful response you can give, not because you don't have words, but because your peace is louder than their noise. You're not here to match anyone's disrespect. You're here to be bigger than what tried to shrink you. And it's not always easy. It takes courage to pause when your pride wants to speak. It takes strength to stay still when everything inside you wants to defend your name, your heart, your worth. But ask yourself, what does my reaction create? Does it bring healing or more hurt? Does it help me rise or pull me down? The answers will shape your path, because every time you choose grace, you build something stronger than any argument could tear down. You show the world and yourself that your emotions do not control you. You command them. There's a beauty in responding with calm when you are met with chaos. It confuses the enemy. It stops the cycle. It tells the universe, I know who I am, and I refuse to be pulled into storms I was never meant to be part of. Grace does not mean silence forever. It means speaking with clarity when the moment is right, without the burden of reaction clouding your truth. Think of the times you reacted quickly, harshly, without breath or thought. Did it bring peace, or did it leave more damage in its wake? You are allowed to feel angry, hurt, misunderstood, but you don't have to become those feelings. You can feel deeply and still respond with dignity. You can be burning inside and still carry yourself with calm. That's not pretending, that's power. That's knowing that your reaction is your reflection, and you want to reflect light, not fire. So when the pressure builds, when the words come fast and sharp, take a moment, take a breath. Let your spirit answer before your mouth does. That moment of stillness can be the difference between war and wisdom, between regret and resilience, between a wound and a win. You have a right to your emotions, but you also have the responsibility to decide how they show up in the world. Let them come through you, not control you. Let them rise, then settle like waves returning to the shore. And when they do, you'll find that your true power never needed to shout. It only needed to stand. Choose grace, not for them, but for you, because you are not what happens to you. You are how you grow from it. And in choosing grace over impulse, you pass the test that negativity set before you. Silence in the face of provocation is not weakness, it's wisdom passing the test. There's something deeply powerful about a person who does not flinch when challenged, who does not strike when struck, who does not allow chaos to draw them into its rhythm. That kind of stillness is not born from fear, but from understanding. Understanding that not every jab is meant to be answered, that not every insult deserves your breath, and that sometimes the loudest thing you can say is nothing at all. We live in a world where reaction is praised, where clapping back is a badge of honor, and quick words feel like justice. But true strength doesn't always speak, it watches, it waits, it holds, not out of submission, but out of clarity. Because the one who stays still while everything around them spins wildly, that one holds the power. Silence is not an absence, it's a presence, a force that says, I see what you're doing, but I will not play that game. There are people who will test you with their bitterness. They'll try to provoke a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. They'll twist your words, poke your wounds, and hope you explode, just so they can say, see, I knew you were like that. But when you don't give them the reaction they hunger for, when you let your silence do the speaking, you expose their weakness and guard your own peace. That right there is passing the test. Let them talk, let them stir, let them sit in their storm while you remain grounded. You do not owe anyone your dignity. You do not owe anyone your rage. You owe yourself peace. And sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is walk away, not in defeat, but in deep, quiet victory. Not because you couldn't fight, but because you chose not to lose yourself, proving something to people who would never understand your value in the first place. Your silence can be a mirror. It shows them who they are without you having to say a word. It reflects the ugliness of their energy back at them, but more than that, it protects your soul from stepping into places that drain your spirit. Because not every fight is worth it. Not every moment of disrespect deserves a seat at your table. Your energy is sacred, and your response or your decision not to respond is the way you honor that. Now, this kind of silence is not silence born from suppression. It's not burying your pain or pretending you don't feel. It's the kind of silence that rises from a soul that knows it doesn't need to prove itself. It's choosing your response from a place of power, not pain. You still feel it, you still ache, but you don't let it control the script of your life. You pause, you process, you proceed with wisdom. People will misunderstand your silence. They will call it weakness or cowardice or arrogance. Let them. That is their lens, not your truth. You are not here to perform for their comfort. You are here to protect your light, your mind, your emotional integrity. And that means knowing when to speak and when to stay quiet, when to walk away and when to rise. Your silence is a shield, and sometimes it is your best answer to a world that expects you to fall apart. Negativity wants to pull you into its spiral. It wants to tempt you with the illusion that reacting gives you control. But you are wiser than that. You know that reacting from the wound only feeds the wound. You know that your silence can be the space where healing begins. And you trust that not everything deserves your attention because your energy is not for sale and your spirit is not a playground for other people's pain. So the next time life tests you, when the fire comes close and voices get loud, remember this: the storm may rage, but you don't have to become the storm. Stand still, stay silent. Let your quiet strength echo louder than any insult ever could. You're not being passive. You're passing the test. Your peace is power. Protect it like your purpose depends on it, because it does. There's a calm that lives inside you, a quiet space not everyone sees, not everyone understands. It's that place you go when everything around you feels like it's falling apart, but something deep within you says, hold on. That calm, that peace is not weakness, it's your anchor. And in a world that thrives on noise, on conflict, on comparison and chaos, that peace is your superpower. When negativity knocks, it doesn't just ask for your attention, it wants your reaction, your energy, your stillness. It wants to reach into that sacred place and stir up your doubt, your anger, your fear. But what it truly desires is access to the part of you that's whole, grounded, wise. And you must guard it with all you've got. Because the moment you let negativity settle in your spirit, it starts to shape how you think, how you walk. It starts to change the lens through which you see the world. Peace isn't just about being calm. It's about knowing what's worth your breath, your energy, your time. It's knowing when to engage and when to let go. It's recognizing that not every battle is yours to fight, and not every opinion needs an answer. When you hold your peace, you're not avoiding conflict, you're choosing clarity. You're saying, I know who I am, and I won't let this moment drag me into becoming someone I'm not. And protecting that peace means setting boundaries without guilt. It means walking away from conversations that twist your spirit. It means letting go of people who feed off drama and disrespect. It means choosing solitude when the crowd is too loud, too shallow, too harmful. You are not obligated to stay anywhere that threatens your inner calm. You don't have to prove your worth by staying in rooms that don't value your presence. He says, I love myself enough to step away. There will be moments when protecting your peace feels like a loss, when people accuse you of being distant, cold, or selfish. But the truth is, they're not used to someone who doesn't flinch at negativity, someone who refuses to be drawn into the familiar cycle of pain. Let them misunderstand. Let them talk. You're not responsible for making others comfortable at the cost of your well-being. And remember, peace does not mean perfection. It doesn't mean you never feel upset, never get triggered, never raise your voice. It means that even when your emotions rise, you return to center. You don't live in the chaos, you visit it, maybe, but you come home to stillness. You learn to respond instead of react, to listen instead of defend, to breathe instead of break. When you guard your peace, you move differently. You don't rush to fix everything. You don't take every comment personally. You don't need validation from places that once drained you. That peace creates space for purpose to bloom. It frees your mind, clears your vision, and allows you to focus on what truly matters. Your dreams, your growth, your healing. Negativity will keep showing up, dressed in new faces, new situations, new disguises. But your response doesn't have to change. You don't need to become harder to survive. You just need to stay rooted in your calm. The world may spin faster and shout louder, but you can still walk steady. You can still speak slow. You can still choose grace when it would be easier to explode. That's power. That's peace in action. So when life tests you again, and it will, pause before you react. Check in with your heart. Ask yourself, does this deserve space in me? Does this serve my growth or steal my glow? And if the answer is no, walk away, not in silence that seethes, but in silence that heals. Because your peace is sacred, your peace is strength, and when you protect it, you pass every test negativity throws your way. Don't mirror the storm, become the calm that outlasts it. Life will throw its tempests at you, sometimes gently, sometimes like a slap to the soul. There will be people who enter your space with fire in their eyes and confusion in their hearts, trying to shake your foundation with words that sting and actions that bruise. And in those moments, you may feel the pull, the urge to match their chaos, to speak with the same venom, to raise your voice just to be heard in the wind. But when you mirror the storm, you lose sight of the calm you were born to carry. You weren't made to react to every noise, to respond to every challenge with fury. You were made to rise steady, to hold stillness in the middle of thunder, to be a presence so grounded that nothing can pull you from your truth. Because storms are loud and temporary. They rage, they swirl, they demand attention. But calm, true calm, is eternal. It's not about ignoring the storm. It's about being unmoved by it. It's about knowing that your energy is not a tool for someone else's mess. You must understand, mirroring the storm doesn't fix anything. It only adds to the noise. It gives away your control and turns you into a reflection of what tried to break you. But when you choose to be the calm, when you decide to breathe instead of react, to soften instead of shout, to observe instead of absorb, you change the entire dynamic. You interrupt the chaos with clarity. You turn the moment into a lesson, not a battlefield. It takes strength to stay calm when you're provoked. It takes wisdom to see that not every situation needs your fire. Sometimes it needs your stillness. Sometimes the most powerful move is to sit in your peace and let the storm pass. Not because you're weak, not because you're afraid, but because you know who you are, and no storm can rewrite that. There is something sacred about choosing not to be pulled in. When you refuse to mirror the anger, the bitterness, the pettiness around you, you protect your light. You hold space for healing. You say with your presence, I do not need to join the storm to survive it. And that truth ripples out. It touches people who witness your restraint. It teaches others that strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it simply stays. You'll be misunderstood. People may call you cold, passive, or disconnected. Let them. They don't see the quiet fire inside you, the one that burns with purpose, with intention, with peace. They don't understand that your calm is a choice, and that choice is a reflection of your depth, not your indifference. They can judge your silence all they want, but they cannot touch the strength it holds. Being the calm is not about shrinking. It's not about letting people walk over you. It's about knowing that storms come and go, but you are not meant to be tossed with every wave. You are the steady shore. You are the deep breath in the chaos. You are the reminder that not everything deserves a war. Let others spin. Let them shout. Let them try to pull you into their storm. You don't have to accept the invitation. You can stand rooted in yourself and your values and your peace. And over time, that calm becomes your reputation. It becomes the energy you carry into every space. People will feel it. They'll be drawn to it. Because calm in the middle of a storm is rare, and rare things are powerful. Negativity will always test you. It will try to make you forget who you are. It will want you to fight fire with fire, but you're wiser now. You know that your peace is your strength. Your silence is your answer. And your calm, it's not just a shield. It's your message to the world that you are not a storm chaser. You are the quiet after the thunder, the breath after the chaos, the calm that outlasts it all. The moment you choose growth over grudge, you've already won. Life gives you many chances to carry pain like a badge, to hold tightly to the things that hurt you and call it justice. There are moments when the sting of someone's words or the silence of someone's absence makes you want to close your heart, fold your arms, and keep the grudge warm like a flame. It feels like protection. It feels like power. And the truth is, holding on to what hurts you doesn't protect your peace. It poisons it slowly. You can't grow while clinging to bitterness. Grudges may feel justified, even deserved, but they take up space meant for healing. They ask you to replay the offense over and over in your mind, trapping you in a moment that's already passed. Growth, on the other hand, invites you to step forward, even if your steps are shaky. It asks you to release the weight so your hands are free to build something new. And that decision, to move forward, to grow instead of grip, is the very essence of rising above negativity. Choosing growth is not about forgetting what happened. It's not about pretending the hurt didn't cut deep or the betrayal didn't wound. It's about refusing to let that pain have the final say. It's about saying, this happened, but it will not define me. I will learn from it. I will become stronger, softer, wiser, not in spite of it, but because of it. That's where your power lives, not in the pain, but in what you do with it. There will be days when you feel the pull of the past, when the memory of someone's coldness creeps in and begs you to feed it with resentment. But that's the test. That's the moment when life is watching to see what you'll choose. Will you let the negativity shape your heart? Or will you choose growth, even though it asks more of you? Because growth is hard. It demands reflection. It asks you to face your own role, to understand and let go, to rise. Holding a grudge feels easier. It gives the illusion of control. It tells you, if I stay angry, I stay safe. But you're not made to carry that weight forever. It hardens you in places that were meant to stay soft. And when you choose to let it go, not for them, but for you, you're not losing anything. You're gaining your freedom back. You're reclaiming space in your heart and mind for things that nourish you instead of draining you. You grow when you choose to speak with kindness even after you were spoken to with cruelty. You grow when you don't seek revenge, but instead move forward with your head high. You grow when you no longer need an apology to find your closure. That kind of growth is a quiet revolution. It doesn't need an audience, it doesn't need applause, but it transforms everything. And don't let anyone make you feel weak for forgiving, for choosing peace, for rising above. It takes far more strength to heal than it does to hate. It takes more courage to say, this won't hold me back, than it does to hold on to the past like a trophy. Growth is not passive, it's intentional, it's daily. It's the deep breath you take when you could have shouted back. It's the smile you give yourself when you know you made the better choice. When negativity shows up wrapped in betrayal, insult, or hurt, remember you have a choice. You can stay in it or you can grow from it. You can carry it or you can let it teach you and then lay it down. Every time you choose growth, you are passing the test. You are saying, this pain stopped with me. I will not carry it forward. I will build something better with the pieces. So when that moment comes again, and it always does, don't ask, what did they do to me? Ask instead, what do I want to become from this? That answer will shape your future. And if the answer is growth, you've already won. Passing the test of negativity means responding with a dignity they never expected. There is something undeniably powerful about a soul that chooses grace when it's been handed disrespect. It's not about pretending you weren't hurt, not about smiling through pain just to please people. It's about knowing that your value doesn't rise or fall based on how others treat you. That kind of dignity can't be faked. It's not loud, not boastful, but it's solid, steady, and it speaks volumes without ever raising its voice. Negativity by nature wants a reaction. It craves drama, seeks chaos, and tries to strip you of the very calm that gives you strength. When someone disrespects you, their goal is often to rattle you, to make you stumble out of character, to get you to lower yourself to their level. But when you meet that with poise, with quiet confidence and unshaken self-respect, you reveal something they didn't see coming. You show that you are not built from their opinions and that your power lies in your ability to remain centered. Responding with dignity doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you rise above without needing to push back. You protect your peace without needing to destroy theirs. You let your actions speak instead of your anger. Because truth be told, anger often makes us forget who we are, but dignity reminds us of everything we've become. And every time you choose not to engage in petty battles, you're showing that the higher ground isn't just a phrase, it's a place you live. There is a quiet kind of revenge in peace, not the kind that wishes harm, but the kind that says you cannot touch what you didn't build. When you respond with dignity, you protect your spirit from contamination. You don't let someone's bad day become your burden. You don't let their bitterness breed inside your chest. Instead, you respond with intention. Maybe that means walking away. Maybe it means speaking calmly. Maybe it means saying nothing at all. But whatever it looks like, it means you chose yourself over the storm. And there's real power in that. Because people expect you to crack. They expect you to throw back what they throw at you. They expect your hands to shake and your words to falter. But when you answer with composure, when your spirit remains grounded and your face untroubled, they realize they never had the power they thought they did. That realization, that's the moment you've passed the test. You don't need to explain yourself to every voice that misunderstands you. You don't need to clap back at every insult. Some people are only looking for a reaction to validate their own unhappiness. Don't give it to them. Give them silence, give them kindness, or give them your absence. But above all, give yourself the gift of dignity. You are not made to live in constant defense. You are not meant to prove your worth through argument. Though worth is already established, your presence is already enough. The test is not in what happens to you, it's in how you respond. Can you stay true to yourself in the face of disrespect? Can you walk away with your head high, knowing you never became what tried to bring you low? That's dignity. That's strength. That's the real triumph. When you keep your heart clean in a world that constantly tries to dirty it. So let the test come, let the negativity swirl and shout. You don't have to fight every fire with fire. You were never meant to burn in someone else's flame. You were meant to rise, slow, steady, and unbothered. You were meant to stand in your truth with elegance, with grace, with unshakable calm. Because when you do, you pass the test in a way they never saw coming. And you walk away not just untouched, but elevated. So when life comes at you with its noise, its storms, its bitter voices and hidden traps, remember this. You are not here to match the chaos. You are here to master your response. Every moment soaked in negativity is not an ending. It's a question. Will you pass or will you react? Will you rise or will you repeat? The strength is already in you. The peace is already yours. You've been tested before and still you're here. Still steady, still growing, still choosing grace when anger would be easier. And that is no small thing. Carry your calm like armor. Let your silence speak with dignity. Protect your peace like it's your purpose. And most of all, never forget, you are not what the world throws at you. You are what you choose to become after it. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for walking through these words with an open heart. Keep shining, keep rising, keep passing every test.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will be days when the weight of the world feels too heavy to bear. Days when the doors you knock on refuse to open, when your voice trembles and your spirit wavers. You may feel lost, forgotten, unseen, but hear me now, this is not where your story ends. You are built from the strength of those who came before you. You have within you the power to rise, to stand tall even when the ground beneath you shakes. When life whispers, you can't let your soul roar back, watch me. You were never promised ease, but you were given endurance. You were never promised constant joy, but you were gifted the ability to find light even in the darkest places. Pain may visit, but it cannot make a home in your heart unless you let it. Do not let the world's doubt become your own. You are more than your failures, greater than your past, stronger than the obstacles ahead. Hold your head high. Speak power over your life. Walk boldly in the direction of your dreams, even when fear tells you to turn back. And when you feel like giving up, remember this. Someone is watching you, drawing strength from your fight, believing they too can rise because they see you standing. Keep going. Keep believing. Keep pushing. Because the moment you refuse to give up, you have already won. Life is not a smooth road. It is filled with hills and valleys, twists and turns, unexpected storms, and moments that test the very core of who we are. Adversity does not come to break us, it comes to reveal us. It shows us what we are made of, what we can endure, and most importantly, how we can rise. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship, it is about facing it with unshakable determination. It is about looking at the obstacles in front of you and saying, you will not defeat me. Every great person in history, every trailblazer, every dreamer, every leader has known struggle. They have faced moments of doubt, times when they wanted to give up. But what separates those who succeed from those who fall is the ability to keep going, to push forward when everything seems against them. There will be times when you question your strength. You will face rejection, disappointment, and loss. But hear this, your struggles do not define you, your response to them does. Do not let failure be the period at the end of your story. Let it be a comma, a pause before the next great chapter of your life begins. Think of a tree in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, the rain beats down, and yet the tree remains standing. Its branches may sway, its leaves may fall, but its roots dig deeper into the earth. That is resilience. Life will test you, but you must root yourself in hope, in belief, in the unshakable knowledge that you are stronger than anything that comes against you. Each setback you face is a lesson. Every hardship carries wisdom. Do not be afraid of the storms. They are shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for something greater. And when you emerge on the other side, standing tall despite everything, you will know that nothing, no struggle, no failure, no moment of doubt could ever truly break you. Resilience is your superpower. It is the fire inside of you that refuses to go out, no matter how fierce the winds blow. Hold on to it, nurture it. Stand firm in the face of adversity and never ever give up. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the will to keep going despite it. It is standing up when your knees shake, speaking out when your voice trembles, and taking that next step even when the path ahead is unclear. Courage is what carries us through the storms of life, allowing us to move forward when everything inside us screams to turn back. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, whispering that you are not strong enough, not capable enough, not worthy enough. Fear will try to paralyze you, keeping you trapped in the comfort of the familiar, in the safety of what you know. But progress does not live in comfort. Growth does not happen in stillness. You must have the courage to step into the unknown, to take risks, to chase dreams that seem too big and goals that seem out of reach. Courage is what allows you to rise after a fall. It takes courage to keep believing in yourself when the world has told you no 100 times. It takes courage to start again after failure, to love after heartbreak, to trust after betrayal. It takes courage to be yourself in a world that constantly tries to shape you into something else. But here's the truth: every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Courage does not mean having all the answers. It simply means choosing to move forward, despite the uncertainty. It means waking up every day and saying, I will try again. It means choosing to keep fighting for your dreams, even when the road is long and hard. Think of a river flowing against the rocks. It does not stop when faced with obstacles. It does not turn back when the path is blocked. Instead, it keeps pushing, carving new ways, shaping new paths, finding a way forward. That is courage. It is persistence in the face of resistance. It is the refusal to surrender when life tries to hold you back. Courage is not something only a few possess. It is within all of us. It is a choice we make every day. The choice to rise, to try, to believe, to move forward even when fear tries to keep us still. So take that step, make that move. Face your fears head on, because on the other side of fear, on the other side of doubt, lies the life you were meant to live. And you will never reach it if you do not have the courage to keep moving. Words are not just sounds or letters strung together. They are energy, they are life, they are power. What we say to ourselves and to others has the ability to shape our reality. Words can build up or tear down, heal or wound, inspire or discourage. They can set the course of our lives, lifting us toward greatness or chaining us to doubt and fear. The words you speak over yourself matter. Too often we become our own worst critics, speaking negativity over our own lives without realizing the impact. We say things like, I can't do this, I'll never be good enough, what if I fail? And in doing so, we plant seeds of doubt that grow into barriers, stopping us from reaching our full potential. But what if you change the conversation? What if, instead of saying, I can't, you said, I will find a way? What if, instead of saying, I'm not good enough, you said, I am worthy, I am capable, and I am enough? The words you choose to speak over your life create the mindset that determines your success. Speak power, speak strength, speak life into your dreams. Think of the greatest leaders, thinkers, and creators throughout history. They understood the power of words. A single speech has started revolutions, a single poem has ignited change, and a single line of encouragement has saved a life. Words hold the power to transform not just our own lives, but the lives of those around us. The way you speak to others is just as important. Your words can be a light in someone's darkness. A kind word, a moment of encouragement, or a simple "I believe in you" can change someone's entire outlook. Just as words can inspire, they can also wound. A harsh word spoken in anger can leave a scar deeper than any physical wound. Choose your words wisely, knowing that once they are spoken, they cannot be taken back. Words are tools, use them to build. Words are medicine, use them to heal. Words are fire, use them to ignite passion and hope. And when doubt creeps in, when fear tries to silence you, when the world tells you that you are not enough, use your words as a weapon. Speak power over yourself. Speak truth. Speak faith. Because the words you choose today will shape the life you live tomorrow. So let your words be strong, let them be fearless, and let them be filled with the belief that no matter what comes your way, you will rise. You were born with value. From the moment you took your first breath, you were enough without having to prove, earn, or justify your existence. Yet, the world has a way of making you forget that truth. It tries to measure your worth by titles, by achievements, by how much you produce, by how many people approve of you. But real worth is not something given to you by the world, it is something that already exists within you. Too often we tie our self-worth to external things. We tell ourselves, I'll be worthy when I get that job, when I lose that weight, when I have that relationship, when I achieve that goal. But worth is not something you gain over time. It is not something that can be taken from you by failure, rejection, or hardship. It is something you carry with you no matter what life throws your way. The greatest challenge is not proving your worth, it is believing in it. It is looking in the mirror and seeing beyond the flaws, beyond the mistakes, beyond the labels that others have placed on you. It is understanding that you are not defined by your worst moments, nor are you only as good as your greatest achievements. You are valuable simply because you exist. Embracing your worth means setting boundaries. It means refusing to settle for less than you deserve. It means walking away from people who diminish you, from environments that drain you, from situations that make you question your value. It means standing tall even when the world tries to make you feel small. Loving yourself is not arrogance, it is survival. It is recognizing that your voice matters, that your dreams are valid, that your presence in this world is no accident. It is choosing to treat yourself with kindness, just as you would treat a dear friend. It is understanding that your imperfections do not make you unworthy, they make you human. Embracing your worth also means rejecting comparison. You are not in a race with anyone else. You were not meant to be like them, you were meant to be you. The world does not need another copy of someone else. It needs the authenticity of who you truly are. Stop measuring yourself against someone else's timeline, someone else's success, someone else's beauty, wealth, or status. Your journey is yours alone, and it is enough. The day you decide to embrace your worth fully is the day your life begins to change. You will no longer seek validation from people who do not see your light. You will stop apologizing for being yourself. You will walk with confidence, speak with certainty, and step into every room knowing that you belong. So hold your head high. Refuse to shrink. Refuse to let doubt define you. Know that no matter what you've been through, no matter who has tried to dim your light, you are worthy now, always and forever. Pain is a teacher, though not always a welcome one. It arrives uninvited, disrupts our plans, and shakes the foundation of everything we thought we knew. It comes in different forms: heartbreak, failure, loss, disappointment, betrayal. It can leave scars, both seen and unseen. But if you listen closely, if you allow yourself to truly feel, pain will teach you lessons that success never could. We live in a world that often tells us to avoid pain at all costs, to numb it, to distract ourselves, to pretend it isn't there. But pain is not the enemy. It is a messenger. It forces us to grow, to reflect, to become stronger than we were before. If you never experience struggle, how would you ever learn resilience? If you never face failure, how would you ever appreciate success? If you never knew heartbreak, how could you truly value love? Pain is not an end, it is a beginning. The most powerful stories of triumph are written by those who have walked through fire and refused to let it consume them. Think of the people who inspire you the most. They are not those who have never struggled, but those who have faced adversity and risen above it. Their pain did not break them, it built them. And yours can do the same for you. When pain comes, don't run from it. Sit with it. Ask it what it has to teach you. Every painful moment carries wisdom, a lesson hidden within the hardship. Maybe it is teaching you patience, showing you the importance of self-worth, pushing you towards something better. Maybe it is forcing you to let go of what no longer serves you, making space for something greater. Pain also has a way of revealing who truly belongs in your life. It exposes the strength of your relationships. Those who stand by you in your darkest hours. Those who hold your hand when you have nothing left to give, those are your people. And sometimes pain is the only way you learn who is truly meant to walk with you on your journey. Healing does not mean forgetting. It does not mean pretending the pain never happened. It means finding the lesson, carrying the wisdom forward, and refusing to let the past define your future. It means using what you have learned to become wiser, kinder, and stronger. There is beauty in the breaking, there is strength in the struggle, there is purpose in the pain. And one day you will look back and realize that the very thing you thought would destroy you was the thing that made you unstoppable. So when pain comes, do not fear it. Learn from it. Grow from it. And most importantly, never let it steal your hope. Because after every storm, the sun will rise again, and so will you. You may not realize it, but someone is watching you. Someone is drawing strength from your journey, learning from your resilience, and believing in themselves because of the way you refuse to give up. Your story, your struggles, your triumphs, your determination has the power to inspire others in ways you may never fully understand. We often think that inspiration comes from those who are larger-than-life celebrities, historical figures, leaders on a grand stage. But the truth is, inspiration lives in the everyday moments. It is found in the single mother who works tirelessly to provide for her children. It is in the student who refuses to let failure define them. It is in the person battling illness who greets each day with hope. It is in you. You don't have to be famous to inspire. You don't have to be rich, powerful, or perfect. All you have to do is live with authenticity, with courage, with purpose. When you rise after falling, when you chase your dreams despite the odds, when you stand firm in your truth, someone sees that. And it gives them the strength to do the same. Inspiration is contagious. A kind word, a moment of encouragement, a story shared at just the right time, these things have the power to change lives. Sometimes all a person needs is to know that they are not alone, that someone else has walked a difficult road and made it through. By simply being who you are and refusing to give up, you become a beacon of hope for those struggling to find their way. Never underestimate the impact of your perseverance. You may think that your journey is just your own, but every time you choose to keep going, every time you choose to believe in yourself, you are lighting the way for others. You are showing them that strength is possible, that hope is real, that dreams are worth fighting for. Think of the people who have inspired you. Maybe it was a teacher who believed in you, a friend who stood by you, a stranger whose words gave you courage. Their actions shaped you, lifted you, gave you the push you needed to keep moving forward. Now, it is your turn to do the same for someone else. Your life is more than just your own. It is a testament to what is possible. So keep pushing forward, keep standing tall, keep fighting for what matters. Because you never know who is looking at you and thinking, if they can do it, so can I. Life will test you. It will push you to your limits, challenge your strength, and ask you time and time again, how badly do you want this? But in those moments when doubt creeps in, when failure knocks you down, when the road ahead seems too difficult, remember this: you were made to endure. You were built to rise, and no matter what obstacles stand in your way, you must never ever give up. You have the resilience to overcome adversity, the courage to keep moving, and the power of words to shape your reality. You must embrace your worth, knowing that you are already enough. Learn from the pain, for it carries the lessons that will make you stronger. And above all, remember that your journey is not just your own. Someone out there is drawing inspiration from your perseverance. The path to greatness is never easy. There will be failures, disappointments, and moments of uncertainty. But the ones who succeed are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who refuse to stay down. They are the ones who stand back up, wipe away the tears, and take another step forward. So hold on, keep pushing, keep fighting, keep believing in yourself even when no one else does. Because the moment you choose to keep going, the moment you decide that quitting is not an option, that is the moment you have already won. You are stronger than you know. You are capable of more than you can imagine, and no matter what comes your way, always.
MYDAR-FRIENDs, look in the mirror. Not with judgment, not with doubt, not with the cold eyes of the world, but with a heart open wide and tender. See yourself as you truly are, a magnificent being walking through storms and sunshine alike, a soul stitched together with courage and the scars of living. There is a voice inside you, quiet and persistent, that whispers of your worth, your beauty, your power. And yet, so often, we do not listen. We scold ourselves, we compare, we hide from the reflection that asks only to be seen, to be known, to be loved. When you look at yourself with love, a transformation begins, slow but unstoppable. The lines on your face, the marks on your hands, the shadows in your eyes, all of it becomes a testament to your journey. You begin to see not imperfections, but stories, chapters of resilience, lessons carved in flesh and spirit. You start to speak gently to the one in the mirror, offering words that heal instead of wound, praise instead of blame. And the voice of shame, the one that has been carried like a heavy stone through years of living, begins to crumble under the weight of your own tender gaze. Mirror work is not vanity. It is rebellion. It is the courage to tell yourself, I am here, I am enough, I am worthy of joy. It is the practice of planting seeds of kindness in the soil of your own heart, watching them grow until they bloom in confidence, in forgiveness, in acceptance. You may stumble at first, you may flinch at the reflection that stares back, for it is unfamiliar to be met with love from the very eyes that have been harshest. But continue until the reflection smiles, until it lifts you when you are low, until it becomes your companion, your teacher, your sanctuary. Self-acceptance is the gentle art of allowing yourself to exist without the constant judgment that so often shadows our every thought. When you stand before a mirror and truly see yourself, not through the lens of comparison or societal expectation, but with a heart open and tender, a quiet revolution begins within you. It begins with the understanding that every line on your face, every curve of your body, every shadow beneath your eyes, and every thought that passes through your mind belongs to you and has a story. Each of these is a testament to living, to feeling, to surviving and thriving. And yet so many of us have been trained to see only flaws, to critique ourselves as if our value were measured by perfection. To look at yourself with compassion is to step off that relentless treadmill of judgment and step into a space where your humanity is honored. When you practice self-acceptance in front of a mirror, you begin to dismantle the harsh voice that has lived inside you for far too long. That voice that whispers, you are not enough, you are too much, you are too weak, you are too bold. It loses its power when met with gentle acknowledgement. Instead of pushing yourself away, you draw near, You lean in and say to the one staring back at you, I see you, I honor you, I allow you to be as you are. And in that moment, something profound occurs. The reflection becomes not an adversary, but a companion, a witness to your life and all the moments that have brought you here. You may feel a tremor at first, an unfamiliar softness as judgment loosens its grip, but persistence turns that tremor into a steady heartbeat of love and recognition. There is a radical power in allowing yourself to be seen without shame. When you accept yourself fully, the mirror ceases to be a tool for critique and becomes a sacred space for reflection, not only of your appearance, but of your spirit. You start to notice the subtleties that were always there but overlooked. The glimmer in your eyes that speaks of dreams yet to be realized, the curve of your lips that have smiled through hardship, the strength in your posture that has carried you through storms. Each feature, each detail, tells a story of resilience, of courage, of a soul that has endured and continues to grow. To accept yourself is to honor that story, to recognize that every chapter, even the painful ones, have shaped the being you are today. Self-acceptance also nurtures forgiveness. It allows you to release the weight of past mistakes, the regrets that have been carried like stones in your heart. When you look in the mirror with love, you offer yourself mercy for the times you faltered, for the moments you doubted, for the choices that led to learning rather than failure. You begin to understand that being human is not about perfection, it is about evolution. Each imperfection is a teacher, each flaw a doorway to compassion, and each scar, visible or invisible, a reminder of your resilience. And as you practice this forgiveness, you realize that the mirror no longer reflects only your image, but the freedom that comes from embracing yourself fully. Daily practice strengthens this bond of self-acceptance. Even in moments of struggle or self-doubt, you can return to the mirror and offer a gentle affirmation, a soft word of encouragement, a smile that speaks louder than critique ever could. Over time, these small acts accumulate into a profound shift. You no longer seek validation from others because you have found it within. You no longer fear judgment because the judgment of your own heart is kind and tender. The reflection becomes a sanctuary, a place where you are allowed to breathe, to exist, and to flourish. In learning to accept yourself, you also cultivate empathy for the world around you. The compassion you show in the mirror extends outward, coloring your interactions, your choices, and your relationships. You begin to see others not as adversaries or competitors, but as fellow travelers, each carrying their own story, their own scars, their own need for recognition and love. Your acceptance of yourself teaches you the universality of struggle and the power of kindness, and that lesson radiates in everything you do. So stand before the mirror. Look not for what is missing or imperfect, but for the entirety of who you are. Speak to yourself with the gentle reverence you would give a cherished friend. Honor your journey, your existence, your soul. For in that simple, radical act of self-acceptance, you plant the seeds of love that will blossom in every corner of your life, transforming not only the reflection before you, but the world in which you walk. Loving yourself in the mirror is an act of courage unlike any other. It asks you to stand face to face with your own reflection and confront not only the image before you, but the emotions, doubts, and fears that have been carried silently for years. Often we have been taught to judge ourselves harshly, to measure our worth against standards that are impossible, and to search endlessly for validation outside of our own hearts. Yet, when you look at yourself with love, you begin to rewrite that story. You begin to replace criticism with compassion, doubt with faith, and fear with quiet confidence. And as this transformation takes root, you discover that the power to nurture, to heal, and to strengthen resides within you and nowhere else. When you first attempt this practice, it may feel strange, even uncomfortable. You may catch yourself grimacing at imperfections, shrinking from the eyes that return your gaze, or feeling unworthy of tenderness. These feelings are natural, for they have been carried like invisible chains, forged by years of comparison, neglect, or harsh words from yourself or others. Yet, the very act of continuing to look, to speak words of love and affirmation to the person before you, begins to loosen those chains. Every declaration of worth, every acknowledgement of beauty, every whispered promise of care becomes a quiet revolution. You are telling yourself, I am here, I am worthy, I am deserving of love, and in saying it aloud, you make it real. Loving yourself in the mirror transforms the way you move through the world. It shifts your perception of mistakes, setbacks, and failures. Where once you might have seen flaws or reasons to despair, you begin to see lessons, opportunities, and reminders of your resilience. You see that your journey has value, that your experiences, whether joyful or painful, have shaped you into a being capable of great strength and tenderness. Each line, each scar, each mark of life becomes a testament to endurance and growth. The reflection ceases to be a mirror of inadequacy and becomes a mirror of your courage, your perseverance, and your capacity to love yourself unconditionally. This love also reshapes the dialogue within your mind. The inner critic, that persistent voice that points out faults and demands perfection, loses power when met with gentleness and affirmation. You begin to speak kindly to yourself, to offer encouragement rather than condemnation, to recognize your efforts rather than only your shortcomings. Over time, the mirror becomes a space where you can practice this nurturing voice, a sanctuary where self-doubt is replaced by self-respect. And as the voice of love grows stronger, it begins to echo beyond the mirror, influencing how you think, act, and engage with the world around you. Furthermore, loving yourself in this way fosters patience and forgiveness. You learn to accept the parts of yourself that feel difficult, messy, or unpolished. You learn to forgive the choices that led to mistakes and to honor the steps you took even when the outcome was imperfect. This practice teaches you that love is not contingent on perfection, achievement, or approval. It is a constant, unwavering force that begins within. As you cultivate this love, you also cultivate resilience. You discover that you can face challenges, confront fears, and rise from setbacks because you have built a foundation of trust and acceptance within yourself. The ripple effects of loving yourself in the mirror extend far beyond your reflection. Your relationships begin to change as well. When you hold yourself in compassion and respect, you model that same kindness toward others. You become more patient, more empathetic, and more generous with your love. You no longer seek validation because you have found it within, and this allows you to interact with the world from a place of wholeness rather than need. The mirror becomes not just a tool for self-recognition, but a teacher guiding you toward a life rooted in self-respect, authenticity, and courage. So take the time to stand before the mirror and look with love, even when it feels difficult or unfamiliar. Speak the words your heart longs to hear. Touch the face that has weathered storms and celebrate the strength it carries. Acknowledge the beauty, the resilience, and the brilliance of your own being. For in the simple, intentional act of loving yourself in the mirror, you unlock a power that transforms not only the reflection before you, but the life you live beyond it. The truth that your worth is inherent and not dependent on the approval of others is one of the most profound realizations you can experience, and it often begins when you look at yourself with love in the mirror. For so long, many of us have measured our value by accomplishments, by recognition, by the praise or criticism of those around us. We have been told, whether directly or subtly, that we must achieve, perform, and conform in order to be enough. Yet, when you begin to practice mirror work, you slowly discover that this is not the case. Your worth is not a score to be earned or a certificate to be granted. It is a birthright, a quiet, unwavering truth that exists simply because you exist. When you stand before the mirror and meet your own gaze with love, you begin to feel the liberation that comes from letting go of external validation. It is not always easy, because the habit of seeking approval is deeply ingrained. You may feel a tug of doubt, a whisper that says, "But what if I am not enough?" And yet, the act of speaking kind words to yourself, of affirming your own presence and value slowly weakens that doubt. Each affirmation, each gentle acknowledgement of your being, reinforces the understanding that your essence is worthy of love simply by existing. You begin to recognize that the reflection before you is not a test to pass, but a life to honor, a soul to embrace. This realization reshapes your inner dialogue in ways that are transformative. The voice that once measured you against impossibly high standards begins to soften. You start to notice how often you have been harsh with yourself, how often you have defined yourself by what others think or say. When you replace that voice with words of compassion, encouragement, and acknowledgement, you begin to internalize the truth of your inherent worth. You see that the reflection in the mirror is not a sum of achievements or failures, but a living testament to your resilience, your courage, and your capacity to grow. Every imperfection, every scar, every line becomes proof not of inadequacy, but of life lived, lessons learned, and strength earned. Understanding that your worth is inherent also fosters freedom. You begin to make choices that honor your authentic self rather than conforming to expectations that do not serve you. You no longer feel compelled to prove yourself, to earn affection, or to seek constant validation. The mirror becomes a sacred space where you reconnect with your truth, where you remind yourself that you are already complete, already sufficient, already deserving of kindness and respect. And as this understanding takes root, you find that you move through life with greater confidence, clarity, and peace. You speak, act, and live from a place of wholeness rather than seeking fragments of approval outside yourself. This awareness also strengthens resilience. When you know your worth is inherent, setbacks, criticism, and disappointments no longer diminish you. You face challenges with the quiet confidence that comes from self-recognition and self-love. You understand that external events do not define you because your value is not contingent on them. The mirror work reminds you of this daily, reinforcing that no judgment, no failure, no fleeting opinion can take away the truth of who you are. You become anchored in a deep, unshakable sense of self, one that cannot be swayed by the storms of life. Moreover, embracing your inherent worth cultivates compassion toward yourself and others. As you accept that your value is not dependent on meeting conditions or pleasing others, you extend that understanding outward. You recognize the struggles, insecurities, and humanity in those around you. The love you nurture in the mirror transforms into empathy, patience, and understanding in your relationships. You see people not as mirrors for your own validation, but as fellow beings on their own journeys, each worthy of respect and kindness simply because they exist. So, stand before the mirror and allow yourself to be seen without conditions or judgment. Speak the words that remind you of your birthright, your wholeness, your inherent value. Honor your presence, your journey, your essence. For when you truly understand that your worth is inherent, the reflection before you becomes a doorway to freedom, confidence, and the courage to live fully as your authentic self. Daily affirmations in front of the mirror are more than simple words spoken aloud. They are acts of reclamation, rituals of love that reshape the way you see yourself and the world around you. Each time you stand before the reflection, you are given the opportunity to choose compassion over judgment, encouragement over criticism, and belief over doubt. At first, it may feel awkward or forced, as if the words are not meant for you, as if the reflection you see could never embody the truth you are trying to speak. Yet, with consistency, the power of these affirmations begins to weave itself into the fabric of your being, creating pathways of thought that remind you daily of your inherent worth, your beauty, and your capacity to grow. Mirror work with affirmations is a practice in patience and persistence. The voice of self-criticism is often loud, trained over years to point out faults and measure value against impossible standards. When you place yourself before the mirror and intentionally speak words of love and affirmation, you are planting seeds in the soil of your mind. At first, these seeds may struggle to take root. You may feel resistance, discomfort, or even skepticism. But each repetition, each deliberate act of speaking kindness to yourself, softens the harsh voice and nurtures a new understanding. Over time, those seeds grow into steady streams of positivity, compassion, and self-recognition. You begin to notice subtle shifts, a softer gaze, a gentler inner voice, a willingness to embrace your own reflection without fear or shame. The affirmations themselves do more than soothe, they rewire the mind to embrace a different narrative. Instead of seeing flaws or failures, you start to recognize strengths, resilience, and the beauty of your journey. Simple statements like, I am enough, I am deserving of love, and I honor my journey may at first feel unfamiliar or even foreign, yet repetition strengthens their truth. Each declaration counters years of conditioning that told you to doubt, diminish, or disapprove of yourself. The mirror becomes a teacher, guiding you to notice the quiet power of your presence and the grace inherent in simply being. You begin to internalize the truth that your value is not something to be earned, it is something to be recognized, embraced, and celebrated. Daily affirmations also cultivate courage. To look into the mirror and speak your own truth requires honesty, vulnerability, and the willingness to meet yourself fully without pretense or avoidance. You confront insecurities, acknowledge imperfections, and recognize the depth of your humanity. Each affirmation becomes a declaration of intent, a commitment to nurture yourself despite the voices of doubt that may linger. Over time, this practice strengthens your resolve, reminding you that love and acceptance are not privileges to be sought externally, but gifts you can give to yourself every day. The mirror ceases to be merely a reflection of your appearance. It becomes a sanctuary where your spirit is seen, honored, and uplifted. The impact of daily affirmations extends beyond the mirror. When you consistently speak to yourself with love and encouragement, it shapes your thoughts, emotions, and actions throughout the day. You carry the kindness you cultivated in front of the reflection into the world, allowing it to inform your interactions, decisions, and self-perception. Challenges no longer feel insurmountable because you have built an internal foundation of belief and resilience. Criticism from others loses its sting, setbacks become opportunities to grow, and moments of doubt are met with the gentle reminder that your worth is not contingent on external validation. The words you speak in the quiet of your own presence ripple outward, shaping the way you experience life. Daily affirmations also foster gratitude and self-awareness. As you look at your reflection and acknowledge the journey you have traveled, you become more attuned to the small victories, the resilience you may have overlooked, and the beauty in your growth. You start to celebrate the ordinary and extraordinary alike, noticing how far you have come and honoring the steps you have taken, no matter how difficult or imperfect. This practice transforms the mirror from a place of critique to a space of celebration, a place where love is not withheld but offered freely to yourself. So, stand before your reflection each day and speak the words that remind you of your value, your strength, and your beauty. Let the affirmations sink into your being, reshaping your perception, your thoughts, and your life. For in the simple, consistent act of speaking love to yourself, you create a foundation of confidence, peace, and self-respect that can guide you through every challenge and illuminate every moment of your journey. Recognizing your scars and imperfections as part of your story is one of the most profound acts of self-love and acceptance you can practice. Too often, we are taught to hide the marks of our past, to smooth over the edges of our experience, to erase the visible and invisible reminders of struggle and pain. We see scars as flaws, imperfections as weaknesses, when in truth they are proof of living, of enduring, and of learning. When you stand before the mirror and allow yourself to see every line, every mark, every nuance of your being with tenderness, you begin to understand that these are not signs of failure, but evidence of resilience. Each scar carries a story, a lesson, a moment in time where you survived, adapted, and continued to move forward, even when the weight of life pressed heavily upon your shoulders. To embrace your imperfections is to embrace your humanity. No one enters this world unmarked. No one walks through life without experiencing setbacks, disappointments, or heartbreak. Yet, so often we look at our reflection and wish it were different, smoother, or more aligned with the ideals we have been shown. Mirror work teaches you to see beyond those expectations, to recognize the sacredness in your reality, to honor the life you have lived and the battles you have fought. It is in the acceptance of what is real, unpolished, and authentic, that true self-love begins to flourish. When you speak kindly to yourself about your scars, you are acknowledging your journey, validating your experiences, and creating a space for healing to take root. This practice shifts the way you perceive failure and mistakes. Imperfections are no longer points of shame or judgment, they are teachers. Every misstep, every wrong turn, every moment of vulnerability becomes part of the tapestry that makes you whole. When you look at yourself with love, you begin to recognize that it is not the absence of mistakes that defines beauty or worth, but the courage to rise again, to keep going, and to continue embracing life fully. Your scars become symbols of strength, reminders that you have lived through trials, learned lessons, and emerged with wisdom and courage. They are badges of honor, quietly spoken, yet deeply powerful, narrating the story of survival and growth. Accepting your imperfections also fosters compassion for yourself and others. When you no longer judge the parts of yourself that feel raw or unfinished, you naturally extend the same gentleness to those around you. You begin to see that everyone carries their own scars, their own invisible stories, and their own battles that are often hidden behind appearances. The love and acceptance you cultivate in front of the mirror become a lens through which you view the world. You understand that imperfection is universal, that struggle is a shared human experience, and that kindness begins with recognizing this truth in yourself and in others. Mirror work encourages you to embrace vulnerability, to look at yourself openly and honestly, and to speak words of affirmation that honor your whole being. Each time you acknowledge an imperfection or trace a scar with tenderness, you are practicing courage. You are saying, I have been through storms and survived. I am not broken. I am whole in my life. My experiences, my body, and my spirit deserve recognition and love. This practice is transformative because it changes the narrative from one of judgment to one of reverence. It allows you to move from hiding and self-criticism to openness and self-respect. Over time, this acknowledgement reshapes your perception of beauty, worth, and self. You stop striving to fit into molds that were never meant for you. You begin to celebrate the uniqueness of your being, the marks that tell your story, and the strength that has been forged in the fires of experience. You carry yourself with greater confidence, not because you are flawless, but because you are fully alive, fully present, and fully accepting of the entirety of who you are. The mirror becomes a sanctuary where your history, your struggles, and your triumphs are recognized and honored, and in this recognition, true peace and empowerment grow. So stand before the mirror and let your gaze fall upon every scar, every imperfection, and every line that maps the journey of your life. Speak to yourself with kindness, gratitude, and reverence for the path you have walked. For when you recognize your scars and imperfections as part of your story, you awaken a profound strength and self-love that no challenge, no criticism, and no outside force can ever diminish. When you nurture yourself with love, the effects ripple far beyond the reflection in the mirror and into every corner of your life. It begins with small, deliberate acts, speaking gently to yourself, acknowledging your worth, honoring your needs, and treating yourself with the same compassion you would offer to a dear friend. These acts, repeated over time, become the foundation of a life lived with authenticity, strength, and grace. Mirror work is not merely about seeing your physical self. It is about connecting with the essence of who you are, recognizing your inner light, and allowing that light to guide your actions, relationships, and decisions. The love you cultivate for yourself transforms the way you interact with the world, creating a cycle of care that both nurtures and protects your spirit. When you stand before the mirror and commit to nurturing yourself, you begin to notice the ways in which self-neglect or harsh judgment has shaped your life. You realize how often you have silenced your needs to please others, how frequently you have measured your worth by the opinions of those around you, and how deeply the patterns of comparison and self-criticism have influenced your choices. But the moment you meet your own gaze with love, a shift occurs. You reclaim your voice, your desires, and your power. You begin to see that honoring yourself is not selfish, it is essential. It is the act of creating space within your life for growth, healing, and fulfillment. When your own cup is full, you are able to give freely without depletion, and this balance strengthens every interaction, every relationship, and every pursuit. Nurturing yourself with love also builds resilience. Life is unpredictable, and challenges, setbacks, and disappointments are inevitable. Yet, when you approach yourself with compassion and understanding, you equip yourself with the emotional strength to navigate these trials. You no longer fall into cycles of self-blame or doubt because you have learned to meet yourself with encouragement and patience. The mirror becomes a tool for grounding, a daily reminder that you are not defined by external circumstances or fleeting judgments, but by the steady, enduring truth of your worth. You develop a sense of inner security that cannot be shaken, a knowledge that even in moments of struggle, you are deserving of care, respect, and love. This nurturing also transforms your relationships with others. When you love and honor yourself, you begin to set boundaries that protect your energy and prioritize your well-being. You interact with others not out of fear, need, or obligation, but from a place of generosity, authenticity, and presence. You find that kindness flows more naturally because it is not born of scarcity, but of abundance. By modeling self-love and self-respect, you invite others to engage with you on the same level of honesty and care. The relationships you cultivate become more meaningful, grounded in mutual understanding and shared respect, rather than imbalance or dependency. Mirror work encourages you to recognize that nurturing yourself is a continuous practice, not a one-time act. Every day presents opportunities to speak kindly, to celebrate small victories, to forgive mistakes, and to honor your journey. This repetition strengthens neural pathways of self-compassion and acceptance, slowly transforming old patterns of criticism into patterns of love and encouragement. You begin to anticipate your own needs, to respond to them proactively, and to view your life through a lens of possibility rather than limitation. Each glance into the mirror becomes a reaffirmation of your commitment to care for yourself in ways that sustain, uplift, and empower you. Furthermore, nurturing yourself cultivates gratitude and joy. As you embrace your reflection with love, you begin to notice the countless ways in which you have grown, adapted, and thrived. The small, often overlooked moments of perseverance, courage, and kindness toward yourself and others become visible. You start to celebrate the ordinary as well as the extraordinary, and your life is enriched by a deeper appreciation of your own resilience and capacity for love. The mirror becomes a sanctuary, a place where you reconnect with your essence and acknowledge the beauty of your ongoing journey. So, take the time to nurture yourself with love, to speak words of affirmation, to honor your needs, and to care for your spirit as you would a cherished friend. Stand before your reflection and let the love you cultivate within guide you in every choice, every action, and every interaction. For when you nurture yourself with love, you not only transform your own life, but create a ripple that touches everyone and everything around you, radiating strength, compassion, and light into the world. Consistent mirror work cultivates a sense of inner peace, empowerment, and lasting self-love that touches every part of your being. When you approach your reflection daily with intention and tenderness, you are not simply observing your appearance, you are engaging with the core of who you are. Each glance becomes an opportunity to acknowledge your journey, honor your growth, and embrace the truth of your worth. At first, this practice may feel unfamiliar or even uncomfortable as you confront years of self-criticism, doubt, and comparison. Yet, with time, patience, and persistence, the mirror transforms from a space of judgment into a sanctuary where love, compassion, and recognition are freely given to yourself. Mirror work is a daily act of empowerment because it teaches you to reclaim your voice. Too often, we have allowed external opinions, societal expectations, and past experiences to shape our perception of ourselves. We have accepted judgments that were never ours to carry and silence the gentle whispers of our own truth. But when you stand before the mirror and intentionally meet your gaze with love, you assert your right to exist fully and unapologetically. You begin to speak words of encouragement, affirmation, and gratitude to the reflection before you, reinforcing the truth that you are enough just as you are. This daily reinforcement builds confidence, resilience, and a deep sense of personal authority over your own life and choices. In cultivating self-love through mirror work, you also nurture emotional stability and peace. The practice invites you to release self-judgment and replace it with acceptance. You start to see imperfections not as failures, but as evidence of your humanity and your journey. Every line, every mark, every scar becomes a symbol of the strength and resilience you carry within. As you acknowledge and honor these aspects of yourself, the restless mind begins to quiet, and a gentle sense of calm takes root. You learn to meet yourself with patience and understanding, and in doing so, you cultivate the ability to face the world with composure, clarity, and compassion. Consistency in mirror work strengthens your self-awareness. When practiced daily, it allows you to recognize patterns of thought, emotional triggers, and areas where self-doubt or fear have taken root. This awareness is not meant to shame or blame, but to illuminate, to give you the insight needed to nurture, support, and guide yourself with intention. Each time you speak kindly to your reflection, you are creating a new mental pathway, reinforcing the understanding that your thoughts and self-perception can be shaped by love rather than criticism. Over time, this rewiring fosters a profound sense of empowerment, reminding you that you are not a passive observer of your life, but an active participant in your growth, healing, and happiness. Mirror work also teaches the importance of self-compassion in cultivating lasting self-love. It is not enough to simply recognize your worth in theory. You must actively practice it, nurture it, and speak it into being every day. By addressing yourself with kindness and encouragement, you break down the barriers built by past criticism and societal expectation. You learn to forgive yourself for mistakes, to honor your efforts, and to celebrate your progress, no matter how small. This consistent practice fosters a resilience that cannot be shaken by external judgment or circumstance, for the validation you seek is already nurtured within you. The ripple effect of this empowerment extends beyond the mirror and into every aspect of your life. When you carry self-love and acceptance with you, it influences how you relate to others, how you make decisions, and how you navigate challenges. Your interactions are rooted in authenticity rather than fear, generosity rather than scarcity, and confidence rather than doubt. The daily act of mirror work becomes a source of guidance, reminding you that your strength, courage, and capacity for love are constants you can rely upon, even in times of uncertainty. So as you stand before the mirror, allow yourself to be fully present. Speak words of affirmation, acknowledge your growth, honor your journey, and embrace every aspect of your being. In the consistency of this practice lies transformation. For when you look at yourself with love every day, you cultivate not only inner peace and empowerment, but a lasting foundation of self-love that radiates into every corner of your life. As we come to the close of this journey together, remember that the reflection you see in the mirror is not just an image. It is a living, breathing testament to your courage, your growth, and your capacity for love. Every scar, every imperfection, every line tells a story of resilience and strength, and every kind word you speak to yourself becomes a seed of transformation. Mirror work is not a fleeting practice. It is a daily commitment to honor, nurture, and embrace the beautiful, unique soul that you are. By looking at yourself with love, you awaken a power within that cannot be diminished by the opinions of others, a light that guides your steps, heals your heart, and radiates into every interaction and every choice you make. Carry this practice forward into your life with patience and tenderness, knowing that each glance, each affirmation, and each moment of acceptance builds a foundation of self-love and empowerment that will serve you forever. Stand tall, speak kindly to yourself, and allow the reflection you see to remind you always of your inherent worth, your strength, and your beauty. Good luck on this journey of self-discovery and love. Thank you for allowing yourself to pause, to look, and to embrace the extraordinary being that you are.
Good morning. There are moments in life when we stand at a crossroads. One path is easy, paved with shortcuts and compromises. The other is harder, requiring integrity, patience, and resilience. The choice we make defines who we are, not just to the world, but to ourselves. Moral values are not just rules or traditions. They are the foundation upon which strong, purposeful lives are built. Honesty, kindness, courage. These are not mere words, but guiding lights. When we hold on to integrity, we walk with our heads high, knowing we have honored the truth. When we choose kindness, we create warmth in a world that often feels cold. And when we stand up for what is right, even when standing alone, we become a voice for those who cannot speak. Integrity is the foundation of true character. It is the quiet voice that tells us to stand by our principles even when no one is watching. It is the force that keeps us grounded in truth when the world tempts us with lies. Integrity is not just about being honest with others. It is about being honest with ourselves. It is about aligning our actions with our beliefs and standing firm in our morals, regardless of the consequences. There will be moments when dishonesty seems like the easier choice. Perhaps a small lie can save us from trouble, or bending the truth can lead to personal gain. But what is the cost? When we compromise our integrity, we lose a piece of ourselves. We begin to live in a way that contradicts our inner values, and over time, this erodes our sense of self-respect. A person without integrity may succeed in the short term, but their success is hollow, built on a foundation that will inevitably crumble. Integrity is not always the easy path, but it is the right one. It requires courage to tell the truth when lies are more convenient. It takes strength to stand up for what is right when others are silent. And it demands consistency, for integrity is not something we practice only when it suits us. It must be a way of life. People with integrity inspire trust. In relationships, whether personal or professional, integrity builds bonds of respect and reliability. A friend who keeps their word, a leader who remains truthful, a colleague who refuses to engage in dishonesty. These are the people we admire and rely on. Integrity makes us dependable, and in a world where deception is common, a trustworthy person becomes invaluable. History has shown us time and again that those who stand for truth, no matter the cost, leave a lasting impact. Great leaders, activists, and change makers have not been remembered for their wealth or power, but for their unwavering integrity. Their words and actions aligned, and because of that, they became forces of transformation in the world. Integrity is not just about grand gestures. It is reflected in our daily choices. Do we keep our promises, even when it's inconvenient? Do we speak the truth, even when it is difficult? Do we stand up against injustice, even when we are standing alone? These small acts of integrity shape not only our own character, but the world around us. In the end, integrity is one of the most valuable qualities a person can possess. It is a treasure that cannot be bought, but must be earned through consistent actions. It brings peace of mind, respect from others, and most importantly, a deep sense of self-worth. When we live with integrity, we walk with confidence, knowing that we have remained true to ourselves and our values, and that is a power greater than any wealth or success. Compassion and kindness are the threads that weave together the fabric of humanity. They are not just fleeting emotions or random acts. They are powerful forces that can transform individuals, heal wounds, and bring light to even the darkest corners of the world. In a society where people often focus on personal gain, status, and competition, kindness stands as a reminder that true strength lies not in what we take, but in what we give. To be compassionate is to see beyond ourselves. It is to step into another person's shoes and feel their joys, their struggles, and their pain. True compassion does not look at differences in race, religion, or background. It sees only the shared humanity that connects us all. When we practice compassion, we acknowledge that every person we meet is fighting a battle we may not understand. And sometimes the smallest gesture, an encouraging word, a listening ear, a simple smile, can change the course of someone's day or even their life. Kindness is the outward expression of compassion. It is the choice to be gentle in a world that can be harsh, to be patient when it is easier to be frustrated, and to be generous when we have the option to be selfish. Kindness does not always require grand actions. It is found in the small, everyday moments. The teacher who takes time to uplift a struggling student, the stranger who holds the door open for someone carrying a heavy load, the friend who offers comfort without expecting anything in return. But kindness is not just about how we treat others. It is also about how we treat ourselves. Too often, people are their own harshest critics, burdened by self-doubt and guilt. True kindness begins when we extend the same understanding and patience to ourselves that we offer to others. We must learn to forgive ourselves, to speak words of encouragement to our own hearts, and to recognize that we too deserve love and kindness. There will always be those who mistake kindness for weakness. They will say that being compassionate makes us vulnerable, or that the world does not reward those who are gentle. But history has shown that the greatest leaders, the most influential figures, and the most beloved individuals are those who led with kindness. Strength is not found in cruelty or indifference. It is found in the ability to remain kind even when faced with unkindness. One of the most remarkable things about kindness is that it has a ripple effect. A single act of generosity can inspire another, setting off a chain reaction that extends far beyond what we can see. A child who experiences kindness grows up to be a kinder adult. A community built on compassion becomes a place where people uplift and support each other. A world where kindness is valued is a world that flourishes. In the end, people will not remember how much money we made, how many possessions we owned, or how high we climbed on the ladder of success. They will remember how we made them feel. They will remember the kindness we showed, the love we gave, and the compassion that defined us. So let us choose kindness, not just when it is easy, but especially when it is difficult. Let us be the ones who make the world a little softer, a little brighter, and a little more human. Because in a world where we can be anything, being kind is the most powerful choice of all. At some point, every person faces hardships, moments when the world seems unforgiving, when everything falls apart, and when giving up feels like the easiest option. But it is in these very moments that resilience becomes our greatest ally. Resilience is the ability to stand firm in the face of adversity, to rise after falling, and to continue forward despite the weight of our struggles. It is not just about surviving challenges. It is about emerging from them stronger, wiser, and more determined. Adversity comes in many forms: loss, failure, rejection, disappointment, and unforeseen obstacles that test our spirit. There will be days when our dreams seem distant, when our efforts feel unrecognized, and when we question whether we have the strength to go on. But resilience is what separates those who are defeated by difficulties from those who use challenges as stepping stones to success. It is the quiet force that whispers, "Keep going," even when everything else tells us to stop. One of the greatest misconceptions about resilience is that it means never feeling pain, fear, or doubt. But resilience is not about avoiding hardship. It is about facing it head on. It is about acknowledging our struggles, allowing ourselves to feel, and then choosing to keep moving forward despite the pain. True resilience does not mean we are never afraid. It means we refuse to let fear control us. It does not mean we never fall. It means we always find the courage to get back up. Throughout history, some of the most inspiring individuals have been those who turned adversity into opportunity. They faced rejection but refused to stop believing in themselves. They endured loss but found the strength to rebuild. They encountered setbacks but used them as fuel to push forward. The greatest success stories are often born from the greatest struggles, and those who refuse to give up are the ones who ultimately achieve greatness. But resilience is not just about big, life-changing moments. It is about the small victories, too. It is about the student who fails a test but studies harder for the next one. It is about the athlete who loses a game but trains relentlessly to win the next match. It is about the person who faces heartbreak but dares to love again. Resilience is a habit, a mindset that grows stronger each time we choose perseverance over surrender. One of the keys to building resilience is having the right perspective. When challenges arise, we can either see them as roadblocks that prevent us from moving forward, or as lessons that shape us into stronger individuals. Every difficulty carries a lesson, and every struggle prepares us for something greater. If we shift our mindset from "why is this happening to me" to "what can I learn from this?" we begin to see challenges not as punishments, but as opportunities for growth. Support systems also play a crucial role in resilience. No one should have to endure hardships alone. The strength of a single individual is powerful, but the support of loved ones, family, friends, mentors can be the difference between despair and hope. Encouragement from others can reignite our belief in ourselves and remind us that we are never truly alone. Self-belief is equally important. When we trust in our ability to overcome, we become unstoppable. There will always be obstacles, but when we remind ourselves of how far we have already come, we gain the confidence to continue forward. Every scar tells a story of survival. Every hardship we have faced proves that we have the strength to face whatever comes next. Resilience is not about never breaking. It is about having the strength to put ourselves back together. It is about refusing to let hardships define us, choosing instead to use them as fuel for our growth. It is about rising from the ashes of our struggles, not as the same person we once were, but as someone stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. So when life knocks you down, stand up. When challenges seem impossible, face them anyway. When the world tells you to quit, keep going. Because resilience is not just about enduring pain, it is about transforming it into power. And those who embrace resilience will not only survive adversity, they will rise above it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the determination to do what is right despite fear. It is the strength to stand alone when necessary, to speak the truth when silence is easier, and to uphold values even when the world pressures us to compromise. The courage to do what is right is one of the greatest tests of character, for it demands not just bravery, but also conviction, integrity, and an unshakable belief in justice. Throughout history, we have seen countless examples of individuals who chose the harder path, people who stood against oppression, fought for equality, and refused to be silent in the face of wrongdoing. They were not fearless, they were human, just like us, but they understood that the cost of inaction was greater than the risk of speaking up. Their courage changed lives, shaped societies, and inspired future generations. Doing what is right is not always easy. There will be times when we must stand alone, when the crowd moves in one direction, but our conscience pulls us in another. It takes courage to resist peer pressure, to say no when everyone else says yes, and to hold on to truth when deception seems more convenient. The world often rewards those who follow the easy path, but true greatness belongs to those who choose the path of righteousness, no matter how difficult. There will also be moments when doing the right thing comes at a cost. It might mean losing friends who do not share our values. It might mean facing criticism, rejection, or even failure. But doing what is right is not about seeking approval. It is about staying true to our principles. It is about being able to look in the mirror and know that we did not compromise our integrity for the sake of comfort or acceptance. Courage is needed not just in big moments, but in everyday life. It is found in the student who stands up to a bully, in the employee who refuses to engage in dishonesty, in the friend who speaks the truth with love even when it is hard to hear. Courage is in the simple yet powerful acts of kindness, fairness, and honesty that shape the world around us. Fear will always exist. We will fear judgment, failure, and sometimes even change. But courage is choosing to move forward despite that fear. It is recognizing that our voices matter, that our actions have impact, and that doing what is right is worth any challenge that comes our way. In the end, history does not remember those who stayed silent in the face of injustice. It remembers those who stood tall, who fought for truth, and who had the courage to do what was right, even when it was difficult. Let us be those people. Let us choose integrity over convenience, justice over indifference, and bravery over silence. Because in a world where many choose to follow, it is the courageous who lead. Imagine dropping a single stone into a still pond. The moment it touches the water, ripples begin to spread outward in every direction. The initial impact may seem small, but its effect continues to expand, reaching places far beyond where the stone first landed. This is the essence of goodness. It begins with a single act, but can create waves of change that touch lives in ways we may never fully see. Goodness, in its purest form, is a force that carries forward, moving beyond the one who initiates it. A single act of kindness, a single moment of compassion, or a single decision to do what is right can inspire others to do the same. It is not limited to grand gestures or world-changing events. Even the smallest acts of goodness can make a significant impact. A kind word to a stranger, a helping hand to someone in need, or a moment of patience in a stressful situation can set off a chain reaction of positivity that continues far beyond what we can imagine. Many people believe that in order to make a difference, one must have great influence, wealth, or power, but history and everyday life show us otherwise. Some of the most profound changes in the world have come not from grand speeches or massive movements, but from simple acts of goodness. A teacher who believes in a struggling student can inspire them to pursue their dreams. A person who forgives rather than retaliates can break a cycle of hate. A single act of generosity can remind someone of their own ability to give, leading them to extend kindness to others. One person's act of goodness can influence another, who then influences someone else, creating an ongoing chain of positive actions. This is how communities are strengthened, how societies evolve, and how the world becomes a better place, one ripple at a time. We have all experienced moments when someone's kindness or generosity lifted our spirits. Perhaps it was a stranger paying for our coffee, a friend checking in when we felt alone, or a mentor guiding us through difficult times. These moments stay with us, reminding us of the power of goodness. Often when we receive kindness, we feel inspired to pass it on. This is the ripple effect in action, one good deed inspiring another, creating a continuous cycle of positivity. Even science supports this idea. Studies have shown that when people witness acts of kindness, their own willingness to help others increases. This means that goodness is not just a personal trait, it is contagious. When one person chooses to act with kindness, it encourages those around them to do the same, multiplying the impact far beyond what was originally intended. Just as kindness and goodness can spread, so can negativity. Anger, cruelty, and selfishness can create a ripple effect of their own, leading to division, resentment, and harm. However, the beauty of goodness is that it has the power to break this cycle. When someone responds to negativity with patience instead of anger, or with understanding instead of hostility, they interrupt the spread of negativity and replace it with something better. A simple example of this can be seen in everyday life. If a person is treated rudely at work, they might carry that frustration home and take it out on a family member. That family member, now upset, might react negatively to someone else, and the cycle continues. But if instead the person at work chooses to respond with kindness or understanding, they stop the chain reaction, preventing negativity from spreading further. This is the power of goodness. It disrupts patterns of harm and replaces them with patterns of healing. One of the greatest gifts we can leave behind is a legacy of goodness. The impact of material wealth, status, or fame is temporary. The kindness we show, the lives we touch, and the positive ripples we create will continue to spread long after we are gone. Many of the world's greatest leaders, humanitarians, and changemakers were not just people of great accomplishments. They were people of great goodness. Their willingness to help others, to stand up for what was right, and to lead with compassion created waves of change that still influence the world today. But the same potential exists within each of us. We do not need to be famous or powerful to make a difference. Every single day, we have the opportunity to create ripples of goodness through our actions, our words, and our choices. The beauty of goodness is that it is always within our reach. Every day we make choices, how we treat people, how we respond to challenges, and how we contribute to the world around us. If we choose kindness over indifference, generosity over selfishness, and love over hate, we become the starting point of a ripple effect that has no end. We may not always see the results of our actions, but that does not mean they do not exist. A single act of goodness can travel farther than we ever realize, touching lives we may never know. So let us be intentional in our goodness. Let us choose to be the reason someone smiles, the reason someone feels valued, and the reason someone believes in the goodness of people. Because in the end, what we give to the world comes back to us in ways we cannot predict. And when we choose to create ripples of goodness, we are not just making a difference in the lives of others. We are making the world a better place, one small act at a time. In a world filled with words, opinions, and endless advice, the most powerful way to inspire change is not through what we say, but through how we live. Our actions speak louder than any speech. Our character shines brighter than any promise. And the way we treat others defines us more than any title or achievement ever could. To live as an example means embodying the values we wish to see in the world. It is about demonstrating kindness, integrity, resilience, and compassion, not just in moments when it is easy, but in every aspect of life. Many people believe that to make a difference, they must have great influence, wealth, or a platform from which to be heard. But true leadership is not about having power. It is about living in a way that inspires others. A parent who leads with patience and love teaches their children the value of kindness. A teacher who goes beyond the textbook and nurtures curiosity instills a love for learning in their students. A leader who treats their team with respect and fairness creates a culture of trust. It is through actions, not just words, that real transformation happens. Each of us, whether we realize it or not, is a role model to someone. A younger sibling watches how we handle challenges. A friend observes how we treat others. A stranger takes note of our behavior in difficult situations. Whether in big ways or small, our actions influence those around us. This is why it is so important to live with integrity, to be mindful of our choices, and to ensure that what we do aligns with the values we claim to hold. Living as an example does not mean being perfect. No one is. It means striving to be better, admitting mistakes, and showing humility. People do not look up to those who pretend to be flawless. They respect those who are honest about their journey, those who learn from their failures, and those who continue to grow despite setbacks. The world is filled with voices telling us what we should do, who we should be, and how we should live. But the most convincing argument for any belief or value is the way it is lived out. Consider the difference between someone who simply tells others to be kind and someone who actively demonstrates kindness in their daily interactions. The latter has far more impact because they are not just talking about goodness, they are embodying it. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are it is not their words alone that inspire you, but their actions. Perhaps it is their generosity, their work ethic, their courage in standing up for what is right, or their ability to lift others up. The people who leave a lasting impact on the world are those who do not just speak about change, but who live it, who prove through their daily lives that their values are not just ideas, but guiding principles. Life is not always easy, and there will be times when living as an example requires strength. It is easy to be kind when everything is going well, but true character is revealed in difficult moments. When faced with anger, do we respond with patience? When treated unfairly, do we remain just? When the world feels chaotic, do we continue to spread peace? The way we handle challenges teaches others far more than our words ever could. If we choose resilience in the face of hardship, we show others that difficulties can be overcome. If we extend grace instead of judgment, we demonstrate the power of understanding. If we stay true to our values even when it is inconvenient, we inspire others to do the same. One of the most profound truths about living as an example is that we may never fully know the extent of our impact. A kind word to a struggling friend might give them the strength to keep going. A moment of honesty in a difficult situation might encourage someone else to stand by their own truth. A single act of generosity might inspire another person to give, setting off a ripple effect of goodness. The greatest changes often start with the smallest actions. We do not need to be famous, wealthy, or powerful to inspire others. We only need to be intentional about how we live. When we choose to act with kindness, honesty, and courage, we create a model for others to follow, and in doing so, we contribute to a better world. At the end of our lives, we will not be remembered for the words we spoke as much as for the way we lived. People will remember how we made them feel, how we treated them, and whether we stood by our values when it mattered most. Our legacy is not built on what we say we believe. It is built on how we live those beliefs every day. So let us strive to be the kind of people who inspire others through our actions. Let us be the ones who lead with integrity, who choose kindness over cruelty, who stand firm in what is right, and who uplift others rather than tear them down. Let us live in such a way that when people think of goodness, strength, and compassion, they think of us. Because in the end, the most powerful way to change the world is not by telling others how to live, but by showing them. Moral values are not just words or abstract ideas. They are the foundation of a meaningful life and a better world. Integrity gives us the strength to stand firm in truth, compassion, and kindness, remind us of our shared humanity, and resilience empowers us to rise in the face of adversity. Courage pushes us to do what is right even when it is difficult. The ripple effect of goodness shows that every act of kindness has a lasting impact, and living as an example ensures that our actions inspire others to follow the path of righteousness. The world is constantly changing, and challenges will always exist. But the one thing we have control over is how we choose to live. Will we be people of honesty, kindness, and strength? Will we stand for what is right even when no one is watching? Will we use our actions to uplift others and create a legacy of goodness? Each of us has the power to make a difference, not through grand speeches or extraordinary deeds, but through the small choices we make every day. By embodying moral values, we not only improve our own lives, but also inspire those around us. And in doing so, we create ripples of positive change that extend far beyond what we can see. So let us go forward with a commitment to live with integrity, kindness, resilience, and courage. Let us be the examples that the world needs, because in the end, the measure of our lives will not be in what we have, but in how we have lived and the impact we have left on the hearts of others.